Entrepreneurial Edge is brought to you by Business Banking from FNB, because small ideas can lead to big business. FNB, how can we help you?
Now, Nitsa, before the break, we spoke about your role as MD of Brandgroup. But let's go back to those early years. As I understand it, you were a third-generation retail entrepreneur.
That's right. It started off with my grandmother, who was an immigrant who came out from Germany and opened up a ladies' dress shop in Johannesburg in the 50s. That dress shop spanned 4 decades, to become one of the most well-known ladies' dress shops in Johannesburg. Closed in the 90s. It was time for my mom and my aunt to retire out of the business. And that is really where I learned what we call the rag trade, you know, from the ground up.
Now, coming from a retail family, was it a natural progression for you to ultimately venture into it yourself?
I think so. I think it was always going to be fashion. Whether it would be a retailer or as I started off as a buyer, I didn't quite know, but it was always going to be something that I would end up doing, I believe.
What was some of your earliest retail memories growing up?
My earliest retail memory was, I think I was about 7 years old, and I went with my mother and my aunt to buy. They were buying for their store, and I went to one of their suppliers, and I sat in on that meeting where they were looking at products. And I remember sitting in there giving my opinion at the age of 7. And I think that is when it started for me, the love affair with buying particularly, and the love of the trade.
Now, before you started Brandgroup, you worked for some of the biggest retailers in South Africa, Stutterford's, Mr. Price, Edcon. What did you learn from those days as a clothing buyer?
Wow, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you what I learned. It made me the person that I am today. I think it teaches you strategy. It teaches you, how to think about the business. You are exposed to so many different facets of not only buying, but of business itself. It just starts training your mind to think strategically and to start putting a plan together. Stutterford's was really about product and the love of product, because it's such a fabulous chain and product-orientated chain. Mr. Price was just a different aspect of mass market buying and low price, buying merchandise at low value. And Edcon was really where I learned my business skills and the acumen that comes with working in such a dynamic environment and company like Edcon.
Working in these environments, did you have mentors at your time at the companies?
I think I was privileged enough to have the best mentors in the industry at that time, and I still think today. I worked with buyers and buying managers that were truly talented, not only in buying, but in understanding the retail trade in South Africa. And I learned from the very best women in the industry, I believe.
Now, you started off in the early 1990s. How has the retail industry changed since then?
I think what's happened is with the introduction and the launching of international brands, I think the dynamic of retail in South Africa has changed so much. We were kind of in a cocoon environment in the 90s where we very much were self-reliant on our own brands and our private labels within department stores, and we weren't exposed as much to what was happening on an international scale. And I think with the influx of international brands, it's really taken, it's upped the ante. It's made people perform better, from retailers right through to buyers. You've got so much more competition now, and you are so exposed to what's going on in the international market that you almost have to bring your game up to meet that level. So it's definitely changed the dynamic. There's way more competition. In every corner there's a shop that's a direct competitor to you. So you have to just keep going all the time and keep improving your own business.
Now, keeping competitive is also, as you spoke about, keeping up with what is happening internationally. If you open any magazine in Marie Claire, we see what the season's trends are in the likes of New York, Milan and Paris. From a business perspective, how do you keep that balance between keeping up with what's going on but still staying true to what South African consumers want?
Well, that's very interesting. One of our strategies when we launched Brandgroup was to launch our seasons with Europe and with the Northern Hemisphere. So we do not bring in product that's 6 months behind like many.
So it's not seasonal. As if when it's winter there, you bring in summer and vice versa, you do it at the same time.
If it's winter there, we launch winter in our stores here, and that was a huge risk that we took, because you're selling a fur or a goose down puffer jacket in November when it's 30 degrees. So that was a huge risk that we took. But we also learned something, and that the South African consumer is smart. They're exposed to so much. They're online, they're blogging, they're seeing what's happening overseas, they're traveling. They want instant fashion, they want those current trends, and they don't want to wait anymore. So that worked for us. Whether it works for other businesses, I don't know. But I also have to bring in that our customer has got maybe a little bit more disposable income, so they're able to buy as they like it and as they see it.
What's the biggest mistake that you can make in the retail industry, whether it's a high-end or middle-class consumer?
Not knowing your market and not continuing and striving with the tenacity of learning and improving every single day. I think what sometimes happens is we launch brands and we become complacent because they're successful, but it's constantly being on top of it and constantly challenging yourself and challenging your own business internally every single day to make sure that you're in tune with the consumer, in tune with the trend, and in tune with the competition.
So it's a myth that a brand will sell itself.
It's 100% a myth. And of course it's easy when you bring in a brand that's wanted or people know about. That's the easy part. It's tough bringing brands in that nobody's ever heard of and launching them nationally and hoping that they succeed. And then I think that is the true testimony of the success of Brandgroup, is that we brought brands in against all the odds. Unknown brands had, not barrels of money to fund our business. And a market that was volatile. We launched in the midst of the economic crisis. As the economic crisis broke in 2009 globally, we opened a new store in a new section of a mall in an unknown brand. And
now we've established that the brand doesn't sell itself, so marketing and market research obviously is key. How much time does your company invest in this, and what are some of the strategies you employ to make sure that people understand and learn about these new Scandinavian brands?
Well, one of the things that we did is we launched our brands nationally, even though we were only a locally based store. And that was another risk that we took, to really create a national footprint and a national awareness of the brand. So that was one of the strategies, and it has worked for us. We've got customers in Cape Town, Durban, all over the country that phone us and order product from us. So that has worked for us. We've also aligned ourselves with ambassadors and celebrities. Tiger of Sweden particularly has always aligned themselves with music, the music industry. They call themselves a rock and roll brand, and we've done the same thing. We've really aligned ourselves with people that love our products and not wear it because they have to. All the people that we deal with absolutely love Tiger of Sweden, love wearing the product, understand it, and that's also created a bit of a word of mouth, and made the brand aspirational to the market.
Now, in the first half of the show, you spoke about how passionate your company is about your customers and customer satisfaction. Now, as a company, you were named the Gauteng winner of the Retail Link and South African Council for Shopping Centres, the Delivery of Exceptional Customer Service Award. Why is this important, and how do you make sure that the customer is always king?
Well, as I mentioned to you before, they are king, and we're honoured every day that they walk into our stores. But it's going the extra mile, and that is what we do. Nothing is too much trouble for us. We will deliver to people's homes, we will courier to them. We do, whatever it takes to make the customer happy, we try and do. Because it's the returning of those customers that's so important. And I think when we started out, our vision was to provide customer service that was really not seen in South Africa before. That's what we wanted to do, especially in the retail sector. And that is what we strive to do. That is what we tell our staff and we train our staff on. And it was a great, great honour for us to win that award, because at least we ticked that box and we did something right.
Working in retail, obviously working with customers on a daily basis, and we know there are some difficult and discerning clients out there. As a retailer and as a head of an international Brandgroup, how do you deal with those difficult customers? For our viewers watching out there who want to be budding entrepreneurs, but they have to deal with clients every day, how do you deal with those difficult clients who just makes your day a nightmare, so to speak?
There's always going to be people that are not going to be 100% satisfied, and I suppose that's our right as consumer. We don't have to be satisfied all the time. But I think the key is to put yourself in the shoes of the customer, and to always bear in mind that without them you wouldn't exist. So it's to do whatever you can to please them. And I think every customer, I haven't come across any customer that hasn't appreciated us going that little bit of that extra mile. And I think as tough as they may be in the beginning, they normally soften after they know that your view and your vision is to keep their interests at heart as well. And it's not just about taking their money and booting them out the door. It's to keep them satisfied.
Now, half of that is having the right staff to handle difficult situations. How does your recruiting system work, and who do you look for to run and be the faces and the hands at your stores?
And that's a tough question, because recruiting staff is really, really tough, because you've got to bring people on who have the same vision as you do and have the same goal and passion. And how do you make staff believe in your goal and your passion. You know, a lot of people, you know, want that 9-to-5 job that they come to and they go home at the end of the evening, but we don't want people like that. We want people to understand our vision, our passion, to believe that there's a future for them in the company, and staff to us are an absolute investment. You know, they start off in stores, but for us it's about growth, and as the company grows and as the company succeeds, so will the staff. So we recruit people that understand, of course, the retail industry, understand the importance of service, the importance of product knowledge, the importance of running and working in world-class environments, but also people that believe that this is a long-term career goal and growth for them.
Are entrepreneurs born or made?
A little bit of both. I think you're born because you have to have the passion for what you do, you have to love what you do. I think they're made through training and through experience. But I think if you've got the combination of the two, when you're born with that love of being an entrepreneur, with the skill base and the knowledge base, I think it's a recipe for success.
Are you doing anything to promote entrepreneurship among your staff and your colleagues?
Absolutely. You know, we have the right to franchise our brands as well. So we talk to our staff and we say to them, one day you could own a Tiger of Sweden store, you could own an Ordning and Reader store. So we absolutely encourage entrepreneurship within our business, and we would like to keep it within our business, because who better to grow and to build than the people that are within your own company.
Nitsa, before we go, what would your advice be to our viewers out there watching the show going, you know what, I'm sitting with a bright idea, I think I can take it forward? What would your advice be to them? My advice would be to absolutely go for it. One of the things my father always said to me as I was growing up is that if you want it, you can get it, but you have to work for it. And that's what it's about. And it's not giving up, and it's not feeling despondent when those doors close, because they will close. Plenty of them will close. But it's if you've got a dream and you've got a will and you have a passion for your dream, it'll happen, but you've got to keep at it. Last word, what's the future for Brandgroup International? Growth, making sure that we redefine our strategies every single day, and we have an absolute rollout plan for our stores, and to launch some very new, exciting luxury brands into the market in the near future.